All this month, we'll be celebrating our history, American history, Black history.
Yeah, we are beginning with a look at how the Atlantic slave trade came to North America, the path of the Underground Railroad in Ohio, culminating with the Haroons and the Lathrops of Sylvania, who risked it all to help.
Yeah, they worked together to change the world and the journey of the freedom seekers.
I am trying to imagine being taken to, first of all, a strange land. You don't understand any of the language. You don't know what's happening, really. You don't know what fate is to befall you at that point. You are auctioned off as a piece of property, more likely than not chained to others. So you're pulled from your sleep, confusion, terror in the middle of the night, loaded onto a slave ship, chained to another human being, put below deck. You are loaded in as cordwood. The horrors of what you're experiencing, you have never seen people like those who are loading you onto the ships. You've never heard the language before. It's just a terrorizing situation. The few times you're allowed up on deck for a little bit of fresh air, you might have made a pact with the person you are chained to that you would make that run for the edge of the ship. And history tells us many of these enslaved people did indeed do that and jumped over the side of the ship. You are auctioned off as a piece of property as you get off the block and you are moved on to your new owner. The hard forced labor really was tobacco, but more importantly, cotton. They insisted these enslaved peoples pick 200 pounds of cotton a day. Brutal work with the heat, a plant even that shreds your fingers as you pick it. They were people that were willing to help them. It was illegal to teach them to read or write, and that was what those who wished to keep them enslaved had over them. Do not allow them to know what's out there. The Quakers, they were ardent abolitionists from the very beginning. To them, this was an affront to freedom of conscience. They might be imprisoned for up to 6 months, or they might be fined $5,000. That would mean losing your home and your business. And they felt that strongly that slavery was that wrong and were able to see the humanity in everyone. And if there were ever a group of people that stepped out on faith, it was those people who were leaving the South, heading north, and putting their lives and their freedom in the hands of people who looked like the people who had kept them enslaved for generations. Ohio, it seems, was really the state that saw the most Underground Railroad traffic. You crossed that Ohio River, what was referred to as the River Jordan sometimes, to freedom on the other side. Your clothes are in tatters. You might be barefoot at this point. You have been moving northward for weeks and months, but you have also been given direction on where is a safe stop, where is the next place. But in between those places, you are on your own. David Haroon from Sylvania, which was the northern terminus of the Underground Railroad in Ohio, would make that trip down to Maumee with a false bottom hay wagon. He would be able to hide a couple people and bring them north to his farm in Sylvania. David Haroon would then protect them and keep them in their house or in their barn on their property. They would do that. If they felt for some reason they might be under suspicion, might cause him to send him on to the Lathrop House. The Lathrops and the Haroons were partners in crime at this point. The Haroons would send them on to what they called the big white house on the hill, the Lathrop House. There they would find a welcome and a safety that they probably hadn't enjoyed in several days. You would have the warmth of ovens, the possibility of food baking. It had to be a very welcoming, safe, all-enveloping feeling. You would find out that not only could you stay and be fed, but there was also a hidden room behind the wall. You would be at this house maybe for a night to get a good night's sleep. There had to be a certain peace arriving at this place. Your final destination is crossing that Detroit River just a little north of the city and heading across the way into Windsor and beyond. It's unimaginable that that journey, whether it was 300 miles or 800 miles, was not nearly as long as the journey of your life that took you from your homeland across the ocean, stripped of not just rights but humanity. You are in a place now where you are free to come and go. You are free to associate with whomever you wish, and you do chart your own course. You knew you were meant to be free. You knew you were a human being, and freedom was what you should have, how you should live. They turned to become freedom seekers, not just the enslaved, but freedom seekers. And actually, those first steps they took, headed northward, they emancipated themselves. The bottom line of the Underground Railroad is that our greatest strides that we make as a people are when we take those steps and make those strides arm in arm. And we see that again and again through history.
Very special that we in our community were a part of the Underground Railroad and people willing to help out.
Absolutely, just a great piece.
If you'd like to experience the journey of the freedom seekers, the realities of the Underground Railroad, and a firsthand experience with the Lathrop family, contact Heritage Sylvania.
Coming up next week, we will continue our Black History Month celebration with true conversations from local community leaders, artists, and city council members about the struggle, the movement, and the people who are building up our communities and doing it together.
We'll be right back.